Hello and welcome to the This is the Music Rise of the Indie Artist show right here on Away Day Radio. For tonight's Rise of the Indie Artist show, we've got something a little bit different in store for you. We are joined by Welsh band Columbia, who have just released their debut album, Embrace the Chaos, which is packed full of stadium-ready guitar riffs and is an album that will put your faith back in rock and roll. I'm joined by frontman and singer-songwriter Craig. Craig, cheers for coming on the show tonight and chatting about your debut album. How are you doing?
Yeah, evening. Yeah, brilliant. Obviously, the album is now out. Everyone go and listen to that. So, just feeling brilliant, really, and feeling on top of the world that it's finally out, and people can listen to it and get involved.
Sure, definitely. So, obviously, as you say, it's finally out now, but it's been about 10 years in the making, hasn't it? So I'm guessing from a personal point of view, as much as anything, that you must be delighted that it's finally here.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's been about 10 years, probably a little bit longer. It just seems, that it's taken forever to get to where we are. I seen a post the other day. I used to be in another band with Ben previous to Columbia. And a post came up on my memories on Facebook earlier on saying that we were getting ready to do a battle of the band in 12 years ago. So some of those songs that we played in our battle of the band are actually on this record. So
wow,
looking back 12 years, it's definitely there's probably at least maybe 2 or 3. So like I said, it's been a long time in the making, and the album itself has been finished since probably August last year.
Yeah.
But, obviously with everything that's been going on, we've sort of delayed it. And yeah, it's finally out and people can go and get it and listen to it.
Brilliant. What a great memory there. Facebook has got some usage.
It did, yeah. Wow.
So before we start playing the album, can you tell people that might not already know, how did the band start?
Yeah, so like I said, me and Ben had been in bands previous, and then we were playing one gig. We were playing with another band. We were on the same bill, and Chris, our drummer, was playing for this other band. So I can remember sat at the bar having a drink after we'd done our set, looking at Chris and looking at Ben, thinking, "You sound exactly like what we were after." So we sort of had a little bit of a chat at the end, and then I can remember the lead singer of Chris's band basically came up to me and said, "Keep your hands off our drummer." so we got the chatting. Got his number, got the chatting, and then he came for a practice, and then it just sort of fell in and just become natural, really. We had another bass player at the time, and then so we were starting to play a few songs, getting our set list together. And then Chris sort of said, "Sorry, boys, I'm joining the army." So that was, we probably talking about 8 years ago, maybe. So he was in the army for about 6-7 years. Always kept in touch. And me and Ben had done a little bit here and there with other projects, but never really, took anything too seriously. It was just a bit of a, just to keep in touch with each other, really. And then Chris got out of the army. We got back in touch. Go back in the practice rooms, found a new bass player, and then fast forward 3 years, and the album's finally out. So it's been a long process, but I think when people listen to the album, I think it's definitely worth it.
Definitely agreed 100%, and a great backstory there. So obviously track 1 is obviously called "Fall Into the Sun," and what a start to the album. Great guitar riffs and pounding drums. Was it always important for you and the band to sort of make a big statement on for the first song?
Yeah, if you listen to it, it's quite a fast, straight in your face rock and roll song, and it's the first song that we ever recorded as a band as well. And it's the first song that we put out in I think it was December 2019, so just before all the COVID stuff started happening. But we recorded that. And it's the same recording now that we did in our practice rooms in a little practice room in Cardiff. Our bass player at the time had all the gear to record in the practice room. So we brought it all in, mic'd everything up. So what you're on the album is exactly what we did in that practice room over a couple of days. So it sounds like it sounds, it's raw, it's very unpolished. And then, listen, when we started recording, the rest of the songs, we just thought that, it was a perfect song to just sort of say, it's rough, it's unpolished, here we are, and I think it's a great opener to an album.
Absolutely, couldn't agree with you more. And here it is. This is "Fall Into the Sun" by Columbia. So how do you guys, how do you even view like the current UK guitar scene? Because there does seem to be like a real buzz about it at the moment. Is there any bands that sort of have caught your eye at all?
Well, like you said, there's loads of buzz now with guitar music. Hopefully, it's going to make it's going to get into the charts and start making it a bit more of a noise and get rid of all this other crap that's currently blocking up our ears. But I'm going to watch the Skinner Brothers. I think it's next Thursday, actually, 17th. So they are playing in Cardiff next Thursday. So me and Ben are going to go and watch them. So really, really enjoying their album. Similar, like I think he's got his own story that's perhaps taken him a certain amount of time to get where he is now, and I know he seems to be thriving now and he's doing really well. So really enjoying them. San Quentin, really into them.
Yeah.
And probably Sam Fender's probably the biggest one at the minute. Me and Ben went to watch him earlier on at the start of the year, and he was absolutely incredible. He was I wouldn't expected him to be so good live, and he was absolutely brilliant. So, like you said, there is loads of like nice, really good young bands, and they all seem to be, pretty keen, pretty eager to try and get their music out there, and try and do something, and just get their music out and heard by loads of people.
Definitely, and certainly the Skinner Brothers and San Quentin, sort of two of my sort of favourite bands as well at the moment. Yeah. So it's nice to hear you bigging up them bands as well.
Yeah, we've got we're supporting Cascade as well in a couple of weeks in Bristol.
Fantastic.
So really looking forward to it. Again, another really good strong indie band, and it'll be our first show across the bridge as well. So we might have to get our passports and our oxygen tanks ready, I think, just to see it. Hopefully we go all right.
Brilliant. I'm sure they'll let you in.
I hope so. I don't know, with this dodgy accent, they might not let me.
So one of the things that I'm sort of quite intrigued about, and you have kind of hinted about it on "Fall Into the Sun" there, but what was like the recording process like for Embrace the Chaos? Because obviously with COVID and everything, I'm guessing that you sort of almost had to sort of, almost record it in sort of like fits and starts rather than being able to sort of, head sort of, consecutive days down into the studio.
Yeah. Well, like as the album said, it was pretty much chaos. It was we recorded it in 2 blocks really. So the first session and the second session, it was both in the summer, and it must have been the hottest days ever to have been recorded in Wales, because they were both like absolutely sweltering. And the little studio where we are, Kings Road Studio, it's got like a little bit of a forecourt outside, and there's absolutely no shade at all. So inside the studio, it was like an absolute sweat box. And then you go outside to try and find some shade or try and find a little bit of coolness, and it was even hotter outside. So trying to battle through that, and seeing Ben in a pair of shorts, it weren't great for the eyes. But Ben's tours aside, the first, like because we recorded in 2 blocks. The first block, if you listen to it, I think if I look at the songs we recorded Ticking Bomb, Meet Me at Dawn, Something More, and Wait for You to Believe. And all those songs, if you listen to them, they're pretty straightforward songs. They don't really, there's not a lot of,
not overdubs or anything
and stuff. Yeah, it was it was pretty much, we went in having the idea of like, this is what we sound like as a band, and this is what we want the songs to sound like. So similar to Fall Into the Sun, really, that we wanted it to sound, we wanted that sound of like that raw rock and roll sound. And I think those songs that we recorded in that first block of recording sound like that. So when you listen to those songs, they could almost be like a separate EP on their own, because that's how we recorded it. We went in, we knew what we wanted to do, and that's what we did. And I think then, because we had such a long time from that session to the second session, obviously going through lockdown and all that sort of stuff, listening back to like the songs, we'd had a master as well. So we thought, well, we might as well get a master and listen to them and see what they sound like. Because if they've done something great, then we can obviously, you know, do something later on.
Yeah.
But they sounded great. They sounded really good mastered. But the songs that we were going in to do, knowing that we had Keys to the Kingdom, knowing that we had Glory People, we sort of, you know, said we need to try and push ourselves, and we need to try and make these songs sound, obviously they need to sound the same, because, you know, the way they were written and you know, the way that we play them, but they needed to sound a little bit, you know, a bit more mature maybe. I think we just took our time a bit more on those songs. And I think with our producer Sanders, he sort of understood where we started and where we wanted to go. So he was pushing, you know, and think, oh, let's try this, let's try that. I've got an idea, was constantly just, oh, I've got an idea, why didn't we try this, why didn't we try that? So I think overall the album, you know, is really, really strong. But personally, those songs that we went in and did in the second block just seem to be a little bit more mature, a little bit more richer, and just, you know, a little bit more, I don't know, a bit bigger and better, you know.
Yeah, sure, and we'll hear them songs a little bit later on this album, Playback. But for now, it's track 2, which is called "I'm on Fire." So, so the next song on the album, "Glory People," I'm guessing most people have probably already heard it, because obviously it's been out for a little while now. But one of the things that sort of might surprise people if they haven't heard it, based on the 2 songs that we've already played, is that you've got a female backing vocalist. So how did that come about?
Yeah, well, first of all, if you haven't heard it, go and listen to it to start with. But yeah, well, again, you know, because this was originally, we recorded the demo for this at the same time we recorded Fall Into the Sun. So if you listen to the demo, it sounds very, very similar. There's only like, you know, a little bit of changes here and here. Obviously, we had a new bass player that came in and you know, Sten, and done a great job on the bass, because he pretty much takes over the opening of the song. But yeah, it was just one of those songs that we knew, and Sanders had heard the demo and said, right, I know where this needs to go. So we kind of had an idea that it needed to be like the big anthem of the album. Obviously, we love it. We love playing live. Always get good reaction from it. And we'd finished recording it. It was all done. And I can remember I was listening back. Me and Sanders were listening back, and in my head, I could just hear it. It was like over and over. I could just hear that, you know, that really like soulful, rich female vocalist singing over the top of that final chorus. So I kind of said this to the rest of the band, and they said, you know, it sounds like a good idea. Spoke to Sanders. You know, and he's a man that knows a lot of people. You know, he's you know, he does a lot of work with, you know, with a lot of Welsh artists. So he's got his fingers in all different kinds of pies. But he said, "Oh, I've just finished working with this singer called Asha Jane." So he's like, "Oh, I'll give her a ring and see if she's busy." So he sent her a message. He said, "Oh, she can come down, you know, next weekend." So me and Sanders were in the studio. She came in, and she was like a whirlwind. She was, you know, she came in. She did, you know, she does like operatic singing. She does her own like R&B singing and things. You know, she does her own stuff. You know, so, you know, she's really, really good. So she came in, did a little bit of a warm-up technique. So me and Sanders are sitting there, and then she started singing. And then within about 2 minutes, she hit this note. And me and Sanders both looked at each other and was like, that was it. That was it. So she was probably only in the studio with us maybe 40 minutes. And what she did in that time was absolutely incredible. So when the first time I'm listening back, it just sort of like blew me away that, you know, I've never thought of having a female vocalist on one of my songs before. You know, you kind of, you know, you listen to like, you know, especially like the Rolling Stones songs. I
was going to say with that actually that there is that, it's got that, hasn't it, with the like Sympathy for the Devil on there, hasn't it? Really, with and that,
So you know, so that sort of thing. And at the time, Radio X was keep playing the same Rolling Stones song. You know, when she's at the end. Wow, Now, well, you know, obviously my vocal talents are not as good. But I was on, for whatever reason, I was on Radio X all the time after I got the demo back. So I was like, oh, that kind of sound would sound brilliant on the top. And she came in, she did it. She was there 40 minutes. And what you heard on the record, you know, she takes it. It's a good song anyway, but she takes it, you know, to that extra step as well. So
definitely, it is. It's a fantastic song, and I'm sure that the regular listeners of Away Day Radio have hopefully heard this song when we've played it before on our Rise of the Indie Artist show. But if this is the first time that you're listening to Glory People, then my recommendation is that you turn this one up loud, because you're going to absolutely love it. Welcome back to this special Rise of the Indie Artist Show album playback special with Columbia. I'm joined by singer-songwriter Craig. So Craig, obviously we're just talking there about the female vocalist Ashley featuring on Glory People. But would you ever consider maybe doing like a collab in the future? And if so, who would you like that to be with?
Yeah, well, you know, never say never to anything. I think Megan Wynn at the minute, she's flying the flag for, you know, for Welsh music at the minute, and she's actually supporting the Skinner Brothers next week. So you know, maybe I'll go and have a chat to her and see, give her my album and say, listen to that, you know, let's sort something out. But you know, I think with anyone, you know, even if we worked again with Asher, you know, later on, you know, on a second album, which me and Ben are already in the process of writing. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, okay, that leads us on quite nicely actually to the next question there, because you just mentioned about you're already sort of getting the second album sort of written together. So when you are writing the songs and sort of like the lyrics, what is the process like then? Is it, do you come up with the lyrics first, or is it like the melody? Or do they just all sort of happen all at once, like organically type thing, I guess? Yeah,
there's not like real set like way that I would do it. Like mostly I'll just sit with the guitar, with like my acoustic guitar, either sat in the living room on a settee or sat in my music room, just, you know, having a bit of a strum around. You know, and you just sometimes you put the same 3 chords together that you've been playing for like the last like however many weeks, and nothing is coming from it. And then all of a sudden you hit it once and you think, oh, that sounded nice. And so you sort of like, you know, noodle a bit with that. And then it sort of comes like that. And then sometimes, you know, you might have a lyric from somewhere or you know, usually I tend to find that if you write, it's the first lyric is quite important, I think. If you get the first lyric and it sounds right for the rest of the song, for whatever reason, it just seems to like write itself. So, you know, sometimes you're writing about something specific, but mostly you're writing and something just comes into your head. So, you know, who knows where it comes from? I try not to think about it too much, and you know, if they come, they come. If they don't, they don't. I'm not like, I don't sit there for hours and go chasing it and think, oh my god, I haven't written a song for like 2 months. I need to write the song. So, you know, sometimes I might not even pick my guitar up for a couple. You know, if I haven't practiced or we haven't got nothing, you know, with a band, I might not even pick my guitar up for a couple of weeks. So, they come when they come, and if they don't come, I don't panic, because I know that what we've done in this album, you know, I've done something right, and you know, the album sounds good, and now as well, Ben, who hasn't done anything for 20 years, as far as I've known him, for 20 years, Like he writes his lead bit. Yeah, I know he shows off with his guitar, but he hasn't written a song for however long. But we went into the studio a couple of weeks ago to like start recording the second album, and he's brought in a song. It's called Disorder, and it's an absolute monster. So he reckons he's got another 20 to come. So my biggest issue with him is if I write a song, I write it quite fast and it's out there and it's done. I might keep it for a couple of weeks just so I know that I think it's a good song. So I keep it for a couple of weeks. But then I want the rest of the band to play, and I want us to practice it. But he will just keep on his. You put his laptop on. You get his whatever program he's using, and he will go through like guitar sounds and all these synth, everything, and it'll take about 14 months to write the song. So, the second album might be about, 3. We'll be like the second coming now with like one order or 5 years time. I
was going to say, he sounds a bit like Lee Mavers, to be honest, with his how obviously everyone used to say he was.
Yeah.
So
I try and jog him along a bit, but
well, strike while the iron's hot by the sounds of it.
I know exactly.
So obviously the next song on the album is called Love Burns, not to be confused with the song by Black Rebel Motorcycle Club, but the guitar riff on that song, fun enough, in my view, wouldn't actually sound out of place on a Black Rebel Motorcycle album. So are they like a big influence for you?
Yeah, I think they got that loud, dirty, raw rock and roll sound in there. The first couple of albums, and the singles that came off those albums were absolute monsters of songs. You think back, they've been going for like 20 years now. The first album was out like early 2000s. So, and I was, the Love Burns song, it's definitely lifted slightly, maybe, a little bit heavier, from The Devil's Tattoo. So if you listen, So if you listen to The Devil's Tattoo by Black Rebel Motorcycle Club, it's definitely, we're not going to get sued. We're not going to be like, I see over the royalties. So, but so it's definitely like influence from there. But like when we were in the studio recording it turned into something completely different, because what it started off as something that was similar to what we'd already recorded, where it was heavy drums from the start. Chris went really coming in heavy with the drums, and the guitars were from the beginning, and then sort of, because this was in the second block of songs, when we went in, it's like we've done songs like that now. We've recorded songs that sound like that are kind of crashing in. Let's have a little bit more subtlety, maybe. Yeah. So Sanders again had some ideas. It was like an old table or something outside his studio. And he was like, "Oh, we get that. So we got that in." So the sound that you can use, sort of like a foot stomp, is me, Ben, and Sanders stomping on this old table. We had some maracas and some shakers going on as well. Chris's drums, are very pulled back and muted compared to what they were when we originally were going to record it. Yeah. And the song pretty much starts Sten and Chris, taking the lead, of Ben's, that guitar riff that Ben, he just sort of, he's annoying really, because he just comes up with something that's sitting there and he's like, "Oh, what does this sound like?" It's like, "Damn," and it's like, "Well, where's that come from?" You sat in the corner with your hairy toes for the last like 4 days, like not even thinking about it, and you come up with something like fantastic like that. So, he's kind of annoying really.
Brilliant! I'm loving this. There will still be a band after this. After this has gone out, by the way, just to clarify that for everyone listening. And here it is. This is Love Burns on the new album from Columbia called Embrace the Chaos. So I want to talk to you now about like live music. Obviously, you've played a couple of gigs to promote the album, and obviously last night on release day, you played the Moon in Cardiff, or I should say, you're playing the Moon in Cardiff, obviously to celebrate the launch of the album. So how excited, sort of first of all, are you about playing live and getting back out there again, but also as well, obviously headlining the Moon on Friday night to celebrate the album launch.
Yeah, well, you know, we love playing live, and I think it's probably what we do best. That, you know, we've been recording ourselves quite a bit recently in the practice rooms and listening back just to make sure that what we are hearing in the room sounds like what we think it is.
Right.
And
Okay.
listening
Yep.
back, I do, like, you know, I'm really confident in the fact that we are a really good live band. And if you come and watch us, I think you'll be impressed. And I just think the sound and the energy that we bring when we play live, you know, is second to none, really. I think headlining the Moon. We played the Moon at the start of February. We played on This Feeling show with the Shakes.
Yeah.
Who were, you know, at a crazy live band. If you've not seen them yet, then, you know, get and watch them. They were a good band. But yeah, just excited the fact that, you know, we are headlining. It's our album release. We'll have posters out. We've got, you know, we've got girlfriends in the corner selling CDs. You know, get in there, go get and make us some money. They've got they sell your soul for rock and roll t-shirts on, so, you know, they look the business as well. You know, but we just excited. We're excited to get out there. We're excited. You know, we've got gigs coming up now, like I said, supporting Cascade in Bristol. We've got a couple of things sorted for Camden later on in the year.
Brilliant.
And a couple of other things in the pipeline. You know, looking to get up, you know, up to Manchester, up to Liverpool, and just basically, we want to get everywhere really, and just try and get, you know, people, you know, to come and listen to us, and, you know, and give us a chance really, and just, you know, I think once they hear the songs and once they hear us live as a live band, you know, I think they'll be sold. Yeah,
definitely. Well, I'm quite intrigued there about the you're saying about the shows in Camden. That's not too far from where I am personally. So I'm definitely hoping to come down and experience the live show, because obviously one thing listening to it on an album and stuff, but I think it live, sort of, not that I've seen you obviously, but not yet. But I'm liking what I'm hearing, and I think that what you're saying is spot on with the with the sound, you know. So are there any songs off of the album in particular that you're personally looking forward to playing live?
At the minute, I'm loving "Meet Me at Dawn." It's one of those songs that was played, or that was recorded in the first block. So again, you know, it was quite straightforward, and we didn't really like push ourselves. You know, we weren't, you know, super. You know, we didn't really push ourselves really, and it was straightforward. This is how we play it live. This is how we're going to record it. But at the minute now, I think Ben's coming in with, you know, different guitar sounds. You know, the lead bit that he's playing, you know, is incredible. Sten didn't play on the album on this track, so, you know, his bass playing, you know, is phenomenal. He's definitely the best bass player we've had, and he comes in. He's got a lot of groove. He's got a lot of heavier sounds as well. You know, he's into, you know, a bit more grungier, darker rock as well than us. So he brings that sort with him. And then, you know, whenever you hear Chris's drums, you know it's Chris. And we played a gig the other week, and there's a guy at the front, and he was in taking pictures, and he must have been in his 60s, and he was like, bloody hell, you hit it harder than Keith Moon used to hit there. So you know, the drum kit was, you know, shaking on the stage. He hits it so hard. So I think this one for us is definitely one. But we're also playing a couple of like songs that haven't made it onto the album that, you know, have got potential. You know, we've got a song called Running, which is like, I don't even think it's a 3-minute song. It's just, you know, straightforward. It's bang. Ben is not a fan because, you know, as the guitarist virtuoso that he is, he doesn't like playing anything that he hasn't like written parts for. So whenever we play Running, he's almost just like riffing off it, and he's just like making up stuff on the spot. So and then another one then is called Run From the Gun, which is another. It's just another balls out rocker, and Ben again. He's he's never written anything for it, because we never really sat down and done anything. So I think, as well as the songs that we're obviously going to play on the album, I think there's a couple of other ones in there as well that we'll chuck in. And then the final one that we absolutely love is called Underneath the Sky, and at the end it's got a bit of a sample of Sympathy for the Devil and also LSF by Kasabian. So
nice.
I think I might have borrowed like the chorus chords, obviously like unintentional. I haven't sat there on purpose and like said, I'm gonna write, copy this. But yeah, it's a bit of a one. Like we played at the end. It's the last song we played, and you sort of like take people by surprise, because you played all your own music up until that point, and then you sort of chuck in a little bit of Rolling Stones, you chuck in a little bit of Kasabian, and it's like, oh, we weren't expecting that. So that one will need to be. It'll have to be like on the third album, when we've like, when we millionaires and we can like afford we can afford a big band. It's sort of going to be like our Be Here Now, maybe our All Around the World song.
Yeah. I was thinking exactly the same thing as soon as you said that.
That's the plan.
Brilliant. Well, there you go. You heard it here first. We've got at least 2 more albums on the way at some point in the near future. And we're now going to play for you not one of these unknown songs, but it's going to be All the Streets. All the Streets Are Silent, which is track 5 on Embrace the Chaos. So how would you describe like the live performance, and what would people obviously you've mentioned a few gigs that are potentially in the pipeline, and obviously the one in Bristol to see Cascade. What would people going to be expecting to see from a Columbia show?
Loud. Chris's drums, it's like listening to thunder sometimes, and he does things on that drum kit. But I stand, I look at him, and I think, what a sound is coming from there. You've got Sten on the bass, who's kind of like a lord unto himself. He's, I think sometimes I think he's in like the Red Hot Chili Peppers, or so he's giving it the old Flea vibes.
Yeah.
He's loving it. I'm just trying to remember the words and play the guitar at the same time, which I was in practice the other day, and for whatever reason I couldn't remember any of the words. So I was singing these songs, like getting halfway through, couldn't remember the words, which is quite worrying considering the gig, the big gig you got coming up. And then Ben, he's very understated. You'd expect like a lead guitarist to be checking out the shapes and giving it a big end. But he's kind of muted in his actions on stage, but the sounds that come from his guitar are undeniable. So what he lacks in showmanship, he makes up for in those sounds that come up with the guitar. So I think overall, as a band, we each bring out different energies and out different things, but it seems to work as we are.
Fantastic. Sounds like a right rock and roll treat to me. And as I say, people I think are going to love it by the description there. So one of the things that I would like to know as well for you personally is, what was the first gig that you ever attended? Who was it, obviously, and where did you see him?
Yeah, well, it was Oasis in 1997. And I can remember the day. The day was Wednesday, the 10th of December. I missed 2 exams to go watch them. So 4 of us in total went. So we missed school. We went to watch Oasis. I can remember being right at the front, and just being in a massive crush. So one of my friends had got dragged out, and I was like, I am not moving from here. Oasis are going to be on that stage right in front of me. There's no way I'm moving. So, as a young kid, that was the first gig. So I was lucky enough to go on and watch them, quite a few times. And but that was the first one.
Oh, fantastic! What a first gig as well. And sure you can obviously see on the screen what a massive fan of Oasis, obviously that I am as well. So
Travis were actually supporting them as well.
Wow.
So it was,
pretty.
And that was just before Travis's The Man Who album came out. So
Oh, brilliant. Well, hey, decent. Well,
Yeah, he was,
better than
yeah.
decent, but yeah, very, very good support band. So when you're up there on stage, is there a tipple of choice? Or are you the ultimate professional and leave all your drinking until after the gig is over?
Well, I don't mind a strongbow. Don't mind a nice sharp cider. But at the minute, we're all because we're all like so far apart from each other, and we sort of come together for gigs and stuff. We're all driving separately, which is a bit of a pain in the neck. But you can't actually enjoy your drink. But I can guarantee you on Friday, once those guitars are plugged in and we're ready to rock, then I will be having quite a few. And after I've finished, I'm hoping that I don't even remember my own name, later on in the night. So
sounds like this is going to be a very, very good night.
It's going to be a good night, definitely.
So coming up now is Ticking Bomb from the album Embrace the Chaos. So just there, while we're talking about drinking, if you could have a night out with anybody, who would you choose? Sort of like, like the ultimate. There you are. You've had a few drinks. We'll say after the show on Friday that anybody's come down and you're on the beers, so to speak, and yeah.
I think the obvious ones to say is probably Liam or anyone in Oasis back in the 90s when they were just absolutely mental. But I think even Liam Gallagher would be given a run for his money by some of my mates. So I think he'd come in, he'd have a look, and perhaps he might not stay the night. So
the challenge has been set.
No, it's been set. Hey, Liam, if you want to come and have a drink with the boys, give me a ring.
Brilliant, love it. So I know obviously that you're a pretty big football fan. Obviously coming from Wales, you've got a big World Cup qualification game coming up in about 2 weeks, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
And obviously you've got Austria in the semi-finals, and obviously, well, it's either Ukraine or Scotland, but obviously we've seen today.
Yeah.
Obviously that game's been postponed, unfortunately. So, what like looking at the three teams that you obviously could be potentially potentially meeting, what do you fancy Wales's chances of getting to the World Cup? Because it's been the first time. That'll be the first time since 50 something,
58,
56.
58.
Yeah.
They had a chance. I was talking about this the other day. They had a chance in 1994 to get to the 94 World Cup. So I think the game might have been in 93.
Yeah.
And then you play in Romania in Cardiff. And Paul Bowden, who took penalties for Swindon every week, and every week he'd score a penalty, hit the crossbar, and then they ended up losing that game. And then I think they might have drawn it, but they didn't get through. They had to win. So that was the closest they got. So now they are 2 games away. But I think, if everyone's fit, especially if Gareth Bale and Aaron Ramsey are fit, then, you've got to fancy their chances. I think Aaron Ramsey's done a bit of a good move, I think, but he's moved to Scotland. He's not going to be under a great deal of pressure playing in, no disrespect to Scottish football, but, it's not the Premiership, or it's not, the Serie A. So I think if they can keep them 2 fit, and obviously they've got quite a good young team as well. So, I'm confident. I never thought I'd see him in a championship. But when I seen them, 2016, and then again in the last Euros, you kind of got used to it now. It's like, Wales are there, but to see, I think to see them in the Euros, was one thing, and then to see them repeat that Euros. But in the middle of that, they obviously failed to meet to get to that World Cup. So, if I can see them get to the World Cup, especially with the team they've got now, I think obviously Bale and Ramsey, Joe Allen sort of coming to the end of the game sort of thing. So I think if they're going to do it, I think this is probably the best opportunity they'll have again for a long time. I think
definitely. And am I right in thinking that you're a Cardiff City fan? Have I got that right?
Well, I'd like to say I'm a Cardiff City fan, but in actuality, because Cardiff City were always rubbish when I was growing up, and they were in the lower leagues, you had to support a team in the Premiership, didn't you? So when I was really little, I've got two brothers, one younger, one older. My father, we all supported Liverpool because, you know, back in, you know, 80s, 90s, Liverpool were the only team you ever seen on telly, you know, they were always in Europe. But then I got to an age where, you know, you start getting a little bit cheeky and you think, right, how can I, you know, annoy, you know, that person and that person? So at this point, my younger brother had started supporting Newcastle for whatever reason. He still does to this day. They are doing better as well. So, you know, that's off to them at the minute. But my father and my older brother were always diehard Liverpool fans. So, you know, I was like, who can I support that would probably annoy them more than anyone else? So obviously it was Man United, isn't it? So, so for the last however many years, since I was like about, you know, 12, supporting Man United, so I'd only ever known success. So the last like 10 years has been a bit of a slap in the face. I think, you know, I might start to support Cardiff City rather than, you know, watching, you know, Man United every week. And it's, oh my God, it's horrific. And watching those idiots trying to play football in defence is, I don't know what to say. I think, honestly, you know, I'm a PE teacher in my, you know, my day-to-day job.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, some of my girls' teams in school would do a better job in defence than, you know, I'm not gonna name Harry Maguire and Wan-Bissaka and Luke Shaw and Lindelof. I wouldn't name them, but awful. So yeah, I'm now a Cardiff City fan. You know, to answer your question.
Well, it could be worse. I don't know. I've seen it today. Obviously, the Tottenham Everton score on Monday night. I've seen that someone's altered the Everton back four and basically just blanked them out of the official team sheet, which I thought was hilarious, to be honest.
Yeah. But Man United and Everton are playing each other in a couple of weeks. So me and my friend, who's an Everton fan, I'm going to go out and have a couple of beers. I said we'll drink a shot every time there's a mistake. He said he won't make it till half time. So it's going to be a bit of a bad day.
You know, it's going to be 0-0. You know now that you've said that, nothing's going to happen.
Fingers crossed.
So just going back off to the back onto the album. Meet Me at Dawn is the next song on the album. The riffs, the singing, the drums is a song that I personally could listen to all day. So what was the inspiration behind this one?
Again, it's another one that's probably like, you know, going towards, you know, further back to like that 10-year time. So, you know, I was trying to think, listening to these songs, like, what did I sit there and write this song about? So, the answer is I can't really remember writing this song. You know, like sometimes you write a song and you think, I'm going to clue us about anyway. So sometimes they just come out and sometimes the words come out. And then you kind of like, and this is one of them, that it's sort of like come from nowhere really. And then you kind of like, you can listen back and like read the words and think, oh, does it mean that? Does it mean that? And then you sort of like try and like correlate it with, you know, something that perhaps happened, you know, in your life at that time or, you know, whatever. But like I said earlier on, that this one now is one of those ones that we recorded in the first block. So, you know, we kept true to what we'd always known and what we'd always played. But now when we play it live, it's just got a different energy. It's got, you know, it's got a little bit more fire. Ben's guitars, you know, are bringing something more. Chris's drums are massive, and Sten, like, you know, like I said, a lot of these songs now have been sort of like given a bit of a rebirth with Sten on the bass because he's come in and he's brought his own, you know, his own fresh take on these songs. They kind of like giving him a bit of a, you know, a new lease of life, and this is one of the ones now that I absolutely love playing because it does sound quite a bit different from what you heard on the album. So it's definitely one of those ones that when you're there, you think, oh, I like that one, and it's like, oh, which one is that? Trying to work it out. So I think it does sound, you know, quite a bit different.
So this album has initially been released on CD, and obviously it's going to be on streaming and download platforms as well. So if you are listening to this live, once we finish, then head over to the band's social media site so you can get your copy ordered on via CD. But that did make me think. Is there like a potential maybe sort of further down the line of maybe like a vinyl release for this album?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I've got, obviously the listeners are not going to be able to see behind this. So I've got like a big canvas made up of the album cover, and it looks fantastic in that in that big square. So
Yeah, it does.
It's definitely it's definitely on the cards of trying to get it made up. Obviously, when you're an independent artist and you're trying to fund traveling there, recording and everything else. It's just it's all money in it really. So we're not opposed to someone coming in and giving us a couple of grand and saying, "Well, boys, have a good time and we'll make us some vinyl." So anyone out there wants to put us some money.
And if there's any money left over, we'll make a vinyl.
Well, it depends how long Liam stays out on the night after this. So.
Yeah. Brilliant, fantastic. So, what just on the theme of buying records and stuff, what was, maybe it was a single or maybe it was an album, but what was the first one that you ever bought, and can you remember the format? Was it, we're sort of similar ages, so it may have been a cassette or maybe a CD, because that was like our sort of thing, I guess, when we were growing up.
Yeah,
it sounds really weird to be saying that.
Crazy, it's absolutely crazy, But my brother bought the CD the other day, and then he was messaging me just before I come on, and he was like, "So my CD came today in the post." I said, "All right." He said, "How do you listen to a CD?" So he said. So it's like people. I still buy CDs, and you buy records and stuff. You just listen to your phone and you listen to it, But yeah, but I'm going to be completely honest. It is probably the most uncool answer that I'm ever going to give in any interview ever.
He's going to lose his rock and roll status now with this answer.
I built it up. I've got Liam ready to phone me straight away, and now it's going to be gone now. So I apologise. But I can remember when we were kids, and that me and my two brothers and my mother and father would take us after Christmas. We'd have like Christmas money, and they'd take us into Bridgend, South Wales. They take us to WH Smith's, that obviously doesn't exist anymore. No, not WH Smith's, Woolworths. And then they'd have like obviously like songs, the singles and all this stuff, all the singles going out. And I must have been maybe 10, so bear with me, I was 10. We were even all cool at 10 years age. And I can remember buying the cassette single of Slam Jam, which was the Wrestlers song. So if you haven't heard of Slam Jam, get on YouTube, type in WrestleMania Slam Jam song, and it's an absolute banger, I'm telling you now. It's got, and I can remember all the words as well. It's got The Undertaker, Macho Man Randy Savage, Bret the Hitman Hart, British Bulldog. It's got everyone at that time were class. They are on it. So that was my first single.
Brilliant.
I'll try and redeem myself a bit by here now. But my first album that I got my parents to buy. Remember Britannia Music Club? Remember that? Yeah. Like the leaflets and stuff. Well, that came through my door one day, and one of the boys on the street, one of my friends on the street, it was around the time when Morning Glory had just come out. So he'd given that to my older brother. I'm about 13 months younger than my older brother. So he was listening to this album, and I was thinking, oh, that sounds good, because usually he'd just been listening to I don't know if you can remember, like the happy hardcore bonkers like collections there used to be.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Absolutely terrible. I don't recommend you go and listen to that. Slam Jam, yes. Bonkers, no. So he was into all that stuff. So as a younger brother looking up towards your older brother, I kind of like, should I be listening to that music? Because that's what my older brother and my older friends listening to. But then he brought the CD on from one of the boys on the street, and he was like, straight away, it was just that sound. He's like, oh, I like the look of that. So listening to that in my my portable CD player, listening to it on your headphones, before you go to sleep. The kids wouldn't even know what one of them is. Portable CD players, Jesus. So, and then I can remember that Britannia Music thing come through the door, I was looking at it, and I was like, Morning Glory was obviously like one of like the main pictures on it. And then next to it was another CD by Oasis that said Definitely Maybe. So I was like, well, what's that? This is what's out now. What's this one? So I thought maybe, is this a new one? I didn't realize at that time, I didn't realize they'd had another album out. So I sort of filled it out, sent it off. You know, obviously my parents had to pay for it. They didn't obviously realize at the time I'm sending off to buy this album. So when it comes back and they've got the bill, and I'm like, oh, I really need to keep it or something like that. So I managed to, like, you know, wangle, you know, £7.87 or whatever it was at the time. Yeah, so that was the first one. And then I kind of rinsed them a couple of times off that, you know, off the Britannia thing, and got I can remember getting the Bends, you know, by Radiohead, and you know, lots of different stuff. The Seahorses, I can remember getting that one. You know, Embrace, you know, they're the ones that I can really remember, and sort of like they're all like kind of different in their own way. You know, Embrace, you know, they had some bangers on that first album, didn't they? But
they did.
You know, they were like, they were sort of like the Coldplay of, like, you know, the early 90s, where they were sort of like, you know, they're a little bit more heartfelt than, you know, they kind of like, you know, putting out their feelings and emotions out, rather than, you know, Oasis were all about being lads and that sort of thing. So,
definitely.
So I think that Britannia music thing, and, you know, thankfully my parents were happy to, you know, to pay out a couple of quid. So I think definitely those albums, you know, they kind of shape you, those, you know, those first couple of ones you listen to and think, you know, if I could, you know, sound like that or sound like this. And at that time, you're not really thinking about anything other than, I couldn't even play the guitar then. They weren't even on my, you know, on my radar of even, you know, thinking about, you know, playing the guitar or trying to be in a band. It was just, that was the music I liked. And, you know, I'd finally found my way and, like, the music that I wanted to listen to.
Sure. Okay, so as you say, I think you've probably redeemed yourself there with the Oasis story. So the next song on the album is called Something More, which I thought was probably the most poppiest song on the album. Do you think that maybe that might be like a future single release, or do you feel that maybe you've sort of finished releasing the singles off of this album?
Yeah, I think it is. It's, you know, it's out there, and you know, it's obviously on the album as well. It's one of those ones again. You know, hats off to Ben again, that we'd recorded this, and this was in the first block. And it's a song like me and my girlfriend at the time. At the time, I'm still with her now, so she might be hearing it.
We'll edit that bit out.
But we both teachers, so she was living in Abu Dhabi, and, you know, it was getting quite difficult, you know, to keep it going. So this song is sort of like, we've broken up. So it's kind of like a song to her, you know, holding on, you know, and that sort of thing. And see you when the plane is coming down, obviously, when she comes on from, you know, when she's out there. So if you listen to the lyrics, it's basically about you know, going through a breakup and, you know, trying to cling on to things. And but the song, obviously the song came from, I was listening to the Cortinas. What's the Cortinas song? What's like the main? I can't remember what they sing. What the single is?
The breakup song. Oh blimey, he's done me here.
There's a Cortina song, and there's a bit in it where there's just like the drums are playing, and he's sort of like singing over the drums at the end. And I thought, oh, that sounds really good. So we went into the practice rooms. It was like, right, I'm going to stop playing. Everyone's going to stop playing, and the drums are just going to play, and the vocals are going to go off. And it sounded good, and that sounded really good. We went to the studio, and this is what we were going to record in. But we didn't really have, like, the poppy riff that we've got was nowhere to be seen up until Ben was coming in on, this was like on the Saturday, and then Ben was coming in on the Sunday to, like, you know, put his guitars down. And he's like, oh, what do you think this sounds like? Again, just, you know, casually just laying it out there. What do you think this sounds like? And he come in, and it's that, you know, that guitar riff, it's like an instant guitar riff, you know, and you hear it straight away and you think, and it's definitely, like you said, it's definitely the poppiest song that we've got. And another one that goes down really well live. I think it's another one that's, you kind of like don't expect it. It's kind of like, you know, you're in sort of a groove, and You know, you've got loud guitars and stuff, and then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, hello, what's all this about? It's kind of like, I don't know, maybe like a bit of a nod to Stereophonics more than any other song that we've got. It's sort of like, you know, that first album where they've got, you know, it's just like a happy sounding album there that, you know, work gets around from. I think probably a little bit of a nod to that. And it's just Ben coming out and just nonchalantly saying, bang, what do you think of this? So
there you are, and you can now hear it right here on the Rise of the Indie Artist show on Away Day Radio. Welcome back to the This Is the Music Rise of the Indie Artist show. I'm still here with Craig from Colombia for the album Playback special of Embrace the Chaos. So a couple of quick fire questions for you now. So what is your favourite film?
Oh, favourite film? I do like, I like The Departed is a great film. Yeah. I love basically anything with Leonardo DiCaprio. I kind of love.
Including Titanic in that, are we?
Yeah, we're going to stay with the cool Oasis stories, and you're not going to talk about Titanic. Yes, the part I love. The part I also like. One of the ones I will watch again is Walk the Line, the Johnny Cash film.
Yeah,
I absolutely love that film, and whenever it's on, you know, I'll put that on. Love that film. Good Will Hunting, that's another good one for me. I like a bit of Good Will Hunting. Yeah, but I love films. I'm in the process of trying to sell my apartment because me and my missus are moving out. So I kind of like cataloguing, you know, as a bit of I'm a bit of a geek, really. I'm not doing myself any favors here. I'm going downhill fast. But I've got about 600 DVDs, and then, you know, people don't even have DVDs anymore, do they? So, you know, it's all Netflix and Prime Video and stuff. But yeah, I do love a DVD. I'm in the middle of trying to force my missus to watch the ER box set. I don't know if you ever watched ER. Yeah. And also I've just finished watching. I know it's not a film, but can you remember Quantum Leap? You know, you were around my age.
Yeah.
I just finished rewatching that again. So yeah, anything. I love any all films. I watched Top Gun the other day. That's another classic, isn't
it? Some great choices in there. So who is your hero?
Well, it's probably cliche to say, isn't it, that, you know, Liam Gallagher looking at it. But just I blame both of them, Liam and Noel, looking at they just didn't care for no one. They did it their own way. If you didn't like it, you know, tough. That was what they were going to do it. But I can always remember. I can remember getting for Christmas, I think it was 97. I got Urban Hymns. I got a CD for Christmas of my parents. And I can remember sitting there listening to that, and I was obsessed with that for months and months and months. Obviously, still loved Oasis at the time. But I can remember thinking, I'd love to have been in Oasis. I'd love to have been involved in all that craziness. But I think I'd prefer to be Richard Ashcroft as a songwriter than Liam or Noel. So I think so for me, it's, you know, writing songs. Obviously, Noel's, you know, his back catalogue is, you know, undeniable. But I think, you know, some of the songs that, you know, Richard Ashcroft wrote, you know, on all 4 albums of the Verve, maybe not so much his solo stuff. He's got a couple of diamonds in, you know, in the rough, in the places. But I think, you know, definitely those two, you know, musically looking up to them too.
And finally, who would be a villain?
Villain? It's got to be Noel, isn't it? It's got to be Noel. It's got to be. Noel, I love you. You were invited for a pint as well, again, you know, bring brothers back together.
Has anyone fallen from hero to zero that quickly before? I'm not sure.
You know, he's you know, for you know, and you know, especially for like a lot of young kids now that have, you know, discovered Oasis, you know, later on, you know, when they went, obviously it left a massive gap there, massive hole. You know, I loved, you know, listening to music, going to watch them live. So yeah, I'm just going to say him because, you know, what could have, but then saying that, has it been a masterstroke? Because, you know, Liam's come up with, you know, some absolute bangers, you know, two really good albums. You know, and I kind of like Noel's stuff as well because it's completely different than a lot of it. So yeah, I'm just going to say Noel Gallagher and just say, you know, and check it out there. Sorry, Noel.
So we're going to play you now, Waiting for You to Believe from Columbia's debut album, Embrace the Chaos. So the next song they're actually going to play for you is going to be Keys to the Kingdom, which was obviously the very first song that you guys had played on the radio, which was right here on Away Day Radio on our Rise of the Indie Artist show. So I mean, just how did that feel to hear one of your songs being played, and obviously like maybe the feedback or anything that you got from people sort of since that maybe tuned in or maybe replayed back the show?
Yeah, Christmas morning is the best way I can describe it. You know, you wake up and it's like, oh, Christmas, like that opening, you know, the opening bit of that drums. It was just, as soon as you hear it, you know, that, you know, all the ears are standing up on the back of your neck and you think, oh my God, it sounds class. You know, our song is, you know, finally on the radio. I told everyone, shared it, everyone, listen to this. You know, when you hear any of your music back, it sounds great. But that first play, you know, I think it's something you're not going to forget because, you know, you've been waiting, you know, for so long, for, you know, for someone to play your music, and you played it on your show, and you know, and we'd always be grateful to you for playing it. And like I said, the only way I can describe it is that it was like Christmas morning, and just, oh, I'm so, you know, you're just excited to get it, you know, to hear it, but yeah, love it.
Fantastic. And if you haven't heard it before, you can hear it right now, and let us know whether or not if you're getting the same sort of goosebump Christmas morning feeling that Craig's just described there. So outside of music, what else do you like to do? You've obviously mentioned football and obviously charging your parents a lot of money for the Britannia Music Club. Is that?
Yeah. They you know, I've told them when I become a multi-millionaire, they'll you know, I'll buy them like a couple of Welsh cakes or something, just, you know, just to pay them back. But you know, outside of music, obviously, like I said earlier, I'm a PE teacher, so you know, anything sport really. Sleeping, I think I could sleep forever on some days. You know, going out drinking with your friends and, you know, having a good time. Obviously, I'm a little bit older now, so you know, it's not every weekend like you are when you're younger and you just carefree. You don't have to worry about hangovers and all that. I'm still, you know, I'm getting on a bit now, but I'm still playing football. But at the end of every game, I come home, run the bath, chuck it full of ice, and I have to sit in an ice bath for 50 minutes. Otherwise, right, I'm like a seized up old man. I'm like a tin man without any oil. So yeah, but
what a description. Fantastic. And it's pretty much for that very reason why I packed in a few years ago, because
it's not doing me any favors. It's not.
Yeah, no, I understand the pain there. So one of the things really that sort of almost like leaves me to ask really now is what are the band's plans for the rest of 2022? Can we expect any more gigs, more music, or maybe even that mentioned Christmas song that we discussed on the previous This Is the Music podcast?
I'm telling you now, there's plans in place for a Christmas EP in December. So I'm telling you now, get ready, people. It's on the way.
Fantastic stuff. And there you go. You've heard it here right now. It's coming.
It's on the way. But like other thing, other than like Christmas music, who doesn't like talking about Christmas in March?
Yeah.
Obviously, like we said, we've got we've got a gig with Cascade now in Bristol next month. We've got a couple of shows coming up in Dublin Castle, Fiddler's Elbow in Camden. We've got a couple of things brewing in Liverpool, and something coming up with another band, a really good, exciting young band as well. So all will be revealed soon on that one. So there's plenty, and also as well, like I said, me and Ben have already been in the studio, and Sten have come in as well, and we've already recorded 2 songs for the next album. We got a violinist in for one of the songs. So it's another, like on this album that we, obviously the debut, there's 2 like acoustic songs on that album. So just trying to like show a little bit of depth and a little bit of feeling. Like I said, when we spoke earlier on, got to have something on it for the ladies, and just show you've got a bit of heart somewhere. So we got a violinist in called Meg, who came in, and she was unbelievable. So we're excited to play that one. And then, like I said, the one that Ben has written is an absolute monster. You almost want it, because it's pretty much done. You almost want to like chuck it out straight away, but I mean, we'll have to try and like rein ourselves in a bit. I think we're going to get a bit too excited.
Well, that sounds very, very exciting, and obviously, as you know, I'm a massive fan of Columbia, so I personally can't wait to see not just the gigs that you've hinted at, but also as well the future releases. So unfortunately, that is the end of this very special Rise of the Indie Artist show. As I say, we've been talking to Craig from Columbia and chatting about their debut album, Embrace the Chaos, which is out now and is available on all streaming and download platforms, as well as physical hard copy on CD. And you never know, maybe there might be a vinyl release at some point in the very near future. Craig, thanks very much for coming on and chatting tonight. It's been an absolute blast, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Just before we go, can you very kindly introduce the final song on the album for us?
Yeah, so cheers, Mark. Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate all your support, so thank you very much. This is a bit of a slower one for you all, one for the ladies. This is Devil on Your Shoulder. Take care.